And this news just coming in. After lying barefacedly at the United Nations General Assembly, Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has accused India of acting in haste by blaming Pakistan. Talking to a select few Pakistani journalists in New York City over breakfast, Sharif said that questions are being raised at India's haste in pointing a finger at Pakistan. He also added that investigations in such incidents require weeks. Well, this statement coming from Prime Minister Sharif despite India offering to share evidence of every kind with Pakistan. Food packets and medicines and other items recovered from the Uri terrorists had made in Pakistan branding, among a lot of other similar kinds of evidence, including DNA and GPS evidence that India is prepared to share. And we spoke a short while ago to well-known Pakistani journalist Munize Jahangir. She was one of the few journalists who had breakfast with Prime Minister Sharif. Here's what she told us.
He did speak about the Kashmir atrocities. Today he went into detail of how he showed pictures of victims of pellet guns by the Indian Army in Kashmir to the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, how he displayed his complete dismay at those pictures, how he was moved by those pictures. So Pakistan is actually soldiering on with the cause of Kashmir here at the international community.
Let's be very clear about one thing. Nawaz Sharif is a bit of a global laughing stock over the last 24 hours ever since his speech. More than half of his speech, in case you missed it, and you actually didn't miss very much, was about Kashmir. He mentioned Kashmir 23 times in a 19-minute speech. But the Pakistan Prime Minister dished out nothing but lies and even more lies. Tonight, we're going to expose Islamabad point by point, lie by lie, dishonesty by dishonesty. Watch this report first.
Burhan Wani, the young leader murdered by Indian forces, has emerged as a symbol of the latest Kashmiri Intifada, a popular and peaceful freedom movement led by Kashmiris. Innocent Kashmiri children, women and men who have been killed, blinded and injured. On behalf of the Pakistani nation, I demand an independent inquiry. These brutalities will not suppress the spirit of the Kashmiris. It will only intensify their anger and fortify their determination to see India end its occupation of Kashmir. Confrontation should not be our destiny in South Asia. Pakistan wants peace with India. We have gone the extra mile to achieve this. India has posed unacceptable preconditions to engage in a dialogue. Let us be clear. Talks are no favor to Pakistan.
You know, a lot of things are up for debate these days. The one thing that is not up for debate, resoundingly so, is whether Pakistan is scared. They are really scared. Their army and air force are in a state of nervous hysteria. You'll know what I mean when you see the report that follows right now. Leaves of officers and soldiers have been cancelled. Several highways are closed, and the Pakistan Air Force is conducting an exercise on the Lahore highway. Pakistan fears that Indian covert special forces could carry out surgical strikes. They've even shut off airspace, thinking India could send in jets to bomb their territory. They've strengthened security around their formations along the line of control as well. Pakistan is always an underconfident, insecure nation, but that has a new definition these days. Take a look.
Shaken, nervous, jittery. and overwhelmed by insecurity. That's Pakistan right now. Faced with a grieving but grim and determined India after the Uri terror attack, Pakistan has now painted a big guilty sign across its face. Top sources tell India Today that Pakistan's Army Chief General Raheel Sharif dialed Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif today to inform him that there was a massive buzz over an imminent strike from India. Sources say Nawaz Sharif told his army chief to respond in full measure. As America told off Pakistan twice in 24 hours and India hit back solidly and exposed Sharif's lies in the UN, Pakistan's fear is palpable. While Nawaz Sharif tries desperately to scrape Pakistan's rock-bottom reputation off the floor in New York City, his country has made its nervousness plainly clear. For instance, Pakistan has cancelled all civil flights from Islamabad to the northern areas. The Pakistan Air Force has been placed on operational standby to retaliate very quickly. Finally, Pakistan has closed off several motorways which it could use as airfields in the event of a conflict with India. Even as counter-infiltration operations continue in Uri and Nogam, yet another gun battle raged in Bandipora on Thursday. Pakistan tried sneaking in more terrorists, but the Indian army successfully foiled 2 attempts in Nogam. Pakistan's nervousness is not really surprising. A series of humiliations have destroyed its confidence and revealed its desperation. India is in no hurry to jump the gun. For now, Pakistan definitely is. With Kaswar cluster in Islamabad, Bureau Report, India Today.
What speaks more of guilt than a country shutting off its highways, putting its air force in a state of high alert just after it sponsors a terror attack on its own neighbor? That's a question I'd like to put out there. Well, Pakistan's Prime Minister described terrorist Burhan Wani as a young leader in Kashmir. That would actually be hilarious if it wasn't so disturbing, if it didn't actually involve India's national security. The truth is that Burhan Wani was an armed terrorist. His aim was the establishment of a caliphate through jihad. He carried an AK-47 assault rifle and pointed it at his own people, his own brothers and sisters in Kashmir. He had over a dozen terror cases against him, including murdering a Kashmiri Sarpanch and his son. He belonged to a banned terrorist organization called the Hizbul Mujahideen. If this is not proof of Pakistan government's support to terror in Kashmir, openly admitted by its Prime Minister at the UN, then we've got nothing left to say.
This is the armed terrorist Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif praised. The killed, self-styled Hizbul Mujahideen commander Burhan Wani. The terrorist who threatened to wage a war against India is a hero for Pakistan. What more proof does the world need to demonstrate the anti-India hate Pakistan has been harboring for decades?
कि वो हिंदुस्तान का मुकम्मल बायकॉट करे, उनका साथ बिल्कुल ही ना दे.
Listen to this earlier video of terrorist Burhan Wani. He's using every means to stir anti-India sentiments among local youth in the valley.
जो नौजवान लड़के और लड़कियां हैं जो कि पुलिस और आर्मी के फार्मर्स बन चुकी हैं, उनके लिए हम आखिरी वार्निंग देते हैं कि वो बाज़ आए, वरना वो मौत को गले लगाने के लिए तैयार रहें. और हम किसी जो कि हिंदुस्तान का भी साथ है, उनके लिए आखिरी वार्निंग देते हैं कि वो हिंदुस्तान का मुकम्मल बायकॉट करें, उनका साथ बिल्कुल ही ना दें. और हम उलमा जो हैं कश्मीर के उलमा, हम उनसे खास गुजारिश करते हैं कि या तो वो सिर्फ हक कहें और या फिर चुप ही रहे, ये उनके लिए बेहतर है.
No surprises why Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Pakistan's terrorist-in-chief Hafiz Mohammad Saeed love Burhan Wani, and why the separatists in Kashmir, Pakistan's proxies, back Wani. The terrorist-Pak separatist nexus stands exposed.
Burhan Wani, the young leader murdered by Indian forces, has emerged as a symbol of the latest Kashmiri Intifada, a popular and peaceful freedom movement led by Kashmiris young and old, men and women, armed only with an undying faith in the legitimacy of their cause.
We have heard support by the Pakistan's Prime Minister for a self-acknowledged commander of unknown terrorist organization, Hizbul Mujahideen. Pakistan is a country with democracy deficit. In fact, it practices terrorism on its own people.
Shielding terror is a state policy in Pakistan. Terrorists and India baiters are Sharif's strategic assets. But no more, the world has moved on.
टेररिस्ट को पनाह देते हैं, हाफिज सईद को पनाह दिए हैं, मसूद अजहर को पनाह दिए हैं, दाऊद इब्राहिम को पनाह दिए हैं, ओसामा बिन लादेन को पनाह दिए, पूरा हक्कानी नेटवर्क को पनाह दिए। वो तो तालिबान का जो ये उत्पत्ति हुआ वो वहीं से हुआ। जितने टेररिस्ट हैं दुनिया भर के वो वहीं पनाह लेते हैं।
One man's terrorist cannot be another man's freedom fighter. Bureau Report, India Today.
Why is Pakistan scared, and does Pakistan have reason to be scared? The big question that we're asking this evening on News Today. Joining me live this evening, our executive editor Gaurav Sawant, who's been breaking many of the stories we've been broadcasting over the last 72 hours since the Uri attack. Joining us live from Pakistan this evening, we have with us Lieutenant Colonel Shafqat Saeed. Good evening to you, sir. Thanks for joining us. GVL Narasimha Rao of the BJP is with us. Also Major General retired GD Bakshi, one of India's best-known soldiers and military veterans. Colonel Shafqat, I'd like to come to you first. You know, from the outside, it looks like Pakistan is very jittery. You've got your military on high alert. You're shutting off airspace. You've got your roads closed off. You've cancelled leave of all your soldiers. What is Pakistan expecting, Colonel? Are you expecting war?
No, we are expecting that India has decided to gravely hurt Pakistan, and this was said by nobody less than your defense minister and BJP MPAs and your Prime Minister. And Pakistan wants to stand on its feet. We want peace, but on our feet, not on our knees. And I think any country that is worth its salt would do what Pakistan is doing. And Pakistan is a very small country as compared to India in terms of geography, in terms of population, resources, and in terms of the strength of armed forces.
No, but just to be clear, you're expecting war because the things you've been doing in Pakistan over the last 24 hours means you're expecting war.
We will fight a war. Yes, we will fight a war. If there is any cross-border intrusion by India, we will fight a war.
No, but why have you closed highways in Lahore if you're expecting a border intrusion?
We will fight war, and this is the way we fight war.
Okay.
We don't raise Mukti Bahanis. We don't fight like you fight.
It's a bit of a joke. I mean, why are you doing so many things? Why are you doing so many things if you're expecting just a border intrusion?
We are not playing a football
forces?
match. We are not preparing for a football match or a cricket match.
Okay.
We are preparing for a war.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a former soldier. I will give you the respect of knowing, what your country is doing. But I'm telling you, from the outside, it looks absurd. It looks really hilarious how you're closing off airspace and cancelling the leave of your soldiers.
For you and whatever you do,
especially for a country that has never won a war, it's a little funny. Let's ask GVL Narasimha Rao. GVL Narasimha Rao, Pakistan is expecting war. Yeah. Is your government going to give them a war?
You see, Pakistan has all these years had waged a war, a proxy war, by sending in infiltrators, by sending in LET, JEM in different names, but they all were covert operations by Pakistan, and it has never won a war. It has never won a war with India. They were defeated every time they tried. They were the
and they're still preparing for war.
But even this attack on Uri is an aggression.
Yeah,
it's an aggression. I think attacking your armed forces of your neighbor is actually waging a war.
False flag operation.
So certainly, I think the Pakistan, if they are nervous, it's not going to help them. They simply do not have the capacity. They do not have the strength to really stand up to India, and that is the reason why they have been trying to really hurt India by doing everything else. by exporting terror, by giving strength to these militant organizations, by having all this terrorist infrastructure on its soil, and aiming all this against India, because it could not stomach the kind of progress that India has made over the decades and the kind of stature that Prime Minister and India today enjoy on the world stage.
General, General G.D. Bakshi, I want to bring you in at this time. You've served on the border, sir. You've been a soldier. You've seen escalation of tensions between India and Pakistan across the line of control and the international border. One perception, General Bakshi, is that the manner in which Pakistan, this nervous hysteria that you're seeing in Pakistan, appears to be a manifestation of its own guilt. Its own guilt. How are you reading it, General Bakshi?
That is precisely the point, Arun.
Yes.
It is a massive manifestation of a guilt complex of a nation state as such, which for the past 30 years has engaged in an unrestricted, asymmetric war against all its neighbors. It's not just India that is sick and tired of Pakistan shenanigans. Ask the Afghans. Ask the Afghan president. You should have heard the speech of the Afghan representatives in the UN General Assembly. Ask the Bangladeshis who refused to send their home minister to attend the SAARC home ministers meeting in Pakistan. Ask the Iranians who are sick and tired of this rabid nation state which has started using terror as an instrument of state policy. They have advocating, and the likes of Hafiz Saeed have been advocating the war of 1,000 cuts to bleed India to death. All I just want to tell our Pakistani interlocutors, including the Colonel who is on your show, we will choose the right to retaliate at a time and place of our choosing. If you think that it will be the army, Pakistan army and the ISI that will decide the time, place, when, where and whom to attack forever and ever and ever, you are sadly mistaken. We have great patience. We have exhibited great restraint. We have made every effort to get peace.
That is the point.
But you, if you are so itching for a conflict, well, you will get one.
You
will get what you want.
I think you've said it best, General Bakshi. You said if you're itching for a conflict, you'll get what you want. I know that our audio is going to Colonel Shafkat, but his Skype line has just been disconnected. I wonder if he actually disconnected himself, but we're going to try and get him back through so we can continue this discussion. Meanwhile, I want to bring Gaurav in. Gaurav, these signs of guilt, the signs of nervousness in Pakistan, at one level they are hysterical. You can make fun of them. Pakistan is a political and diplomatic laughingstock. They think that the Modi government is going to, declare war against them. On the other level, it's not a joke, because on the border, intrusions are continuing. Like General Bakshi said, the state sponsor of terrorism is continuing. So that is not going to stop at all. Meanwhile, beyond the border, they are preparing for war. Gaurav.
Shiv, but what will they fight with? They've already withdrawn 2 divisions plus from the eastern border when the Ramzan ceasefire of 2003 started, shifted more than that to its western border. 2 lakh plus of their soldiers are on the western border. Will they shift them back? Because, people can talk about war, but to fight war, you need preparations. They don't have soldiers. They don't have weapons, they don't have ammunition. How long will their ammunition last? Their first line of defense, their second line, their third line, it's so split. And what is making Pakistan nervous? It doesn't know whether whatever happens will happen in Jammu, whether it will happen in Kashmir, whether it will happen in Ladakh, whether it will happen in Rajasthan, whether something will happen in Punjab. They have absolutely no idea, and they're actually flapping like headless chicken. And this is hilarious to see this nervousness. While they're trying to whip up this mass hysteria in their own country, militarily, from what my sources tell me, they are in dire straits. And General Bakshi can bear me out on facts. They don't have the war fighting capabilities.
I want to bring Colonel Shafkat back in on this. Colonel Shafkat, can you respond to that? There is a perception that all this, saber rattling and chest beating that's happening in Pakistan is actually a kind of scare tactic, because Pakistan actually wouldn't dare actually fight a war, because if it comes to war, Pakistan is finished.
What are you waiting for then?
We're asking you because you're the ones, talking about war. India hasn't even talked about war.
Very violently and very deliberately. We will match you up.
But Colonel Shafkat, where is India even talking about war? You're the one talking about war.
Okay, what a somersault. I think you deserve a medal for Indian leadership deserve a medal for gymnastic somersault.
Who said what?
Olympics. Look at you. Yesterday, day before yesterday, you were talking of cross-border intrusion and you said we will not sit like Manmohan Singh had said and he forgot.
Teaching you a lesson does not need war, sir. Teaching Pakistan a lesson does not need war.
We will hurt Pakistan gravely. And look at you
to
now.
hurt Pakistan, we do not need to go to war with Pakistan.
Colonel.
You are going to send us tweets. You are preparing for war. You have moved up your troops. You have occupied your forward bases. What else do you think that we should wait for?
And who told you this?
We are just waiting for a small intrusion or small perturbance to go for. There would be no limited, no restricted, no, I don't know what all definitions you evolved.
So this is a retired soldier of the Pakistan army basically saying that the smallest provocation, the smallest skirmish or restricted conflict on the border will lead to a full-scale war. General Bakshi, how do you respond to that? This is what Pakistan's mentality is. The smallest provocation and we will hit back with full force.
Well, we will see what happens. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Colonel Shafkat Saeed, I think you need to calm down. When we saw Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif speaking at the United Nations, he had just had a powwow with your army chief. And we were rather amused to see that he had broken out into cold sweat.
Yeah.
You want to see those images? I mean, Shivarur can show you those images. Take a look at the cold sweat.
Yes.
Take a look at the cold sweat, Colonel.
He was not shouting, he was not dancing.
On the forehead of your Prime Minister.
He was very composed, poised.
We are not shouting either.
General Bakshi, I know the point you're making, but I don't want to get into Nawaz Sharif's speech because we'll be here all night if we're talking about Nawaz Sharif's speech. We're talking today about the war, the warlike hysteria that's being whipped up by Pakistan itself.
I'm talking about his body language.
Yes, absolutely. His body language was there for all to see. In fact, we've got pictures of him. They're on air right now. We've got the pictures of Nawaz Sharif on air right now.
Out of nervousness.
Absolutely. GVL Narasimha, I want to come back to you on this because you've got
look at the cold sweat.
You've got a Pakistan army veteran accusing your government, the BJP ruled government in India, of somersaulting on what it intends to do. So that's a very direct allegation at what Pakistan hopes is wartime. Mr. Rao, you need to respond to that.
No, there is not any statement that this government has made.
Exactly.
Which it has reversed in the last few days.
Yes.
So it's entirely up to Pakistan how to read, misread, get confused. They're entitled to do what they wish to do. But this government has spoken in one voice. And there is a clear direction.
Yeah.
And so far and no further. This is the message. We cannot put up with this kind of nonsense that you have been, this kind of terrorism that you have been infiltrating, you have been exporting to India. And Pakistan has clearly miscalculated on Uri.
Yes.
They cannot bluff. They have realized now that they cannot carry on with their bluff anymore. Their bluff will be called. And now that India's message has gone home, they have become a nervous wreck.
Colonel Shafkat, answer this question.
I think, and the manner in which they are politically, the manner in which they have become politically and diplomatically isolated in the entire world, I think it has actually made them very, very, very nervous and jittery.
I think
nobody in the world stands with Pakistan, not a country, none of their neighbors, none of those countries of the OIC. Even Saudi Arabia is asking questions.
Gaurav, I want you to join me in this question for Colonel Shafkat right now. There is one theory, gentlemen, I want you to hear this question that I asked Colonel Shafkat right now, which is that, is Pakistan, drumming up all this war tamasha in their country right now? Because, while they do control a lot of terror groups, maybe they don't have control on some, and they feel that if there is one more provocation, one of those infiltrations succeeds, India could, turn around and say enough is enough. we're going to annihilate Pakistan right now. We're going to obliterate Pakistan from the surface of the earth right now. Is that what Pakistan is so scared about, Colonel Shafkat? Pakistan is so scared because the terrorists that you own and fund could take matters into their own hands, and then Pakistan's very existence will come under question.
Look, your script writer of this drama of Uri has been a very poor script writer.
That's boring. That's a boring answer.
That's a big words in that.
Answer the question.
This Uri was absolutely a false flag operation. We don't intend doing such things. When we intend doing such things, you would not find P of war written on that. You would have Indian weapons being used there.
I see.
And once we do it, we will not have sent suites from Karachi with them.
Right.
And look at the misjudgment.
Right.
I tell you that even Pathans cannot read Pushto, right?
No, but the stupidity of Pakistan is never understated, sir.
It's not stupidity.
The tactical stupidity is something that has happened for years and years. That is not something we will discount.
Listen.
And that is a separate investigation right now.
Listen to me.
Why don't you accept the DNA samples? Why don't you accept the DNA samples? DNA samples are being offered.
20,000 Pakistanis held after the Afghan war.
DNA samples are being offered. Why don't you take them? You're so busy closing your airspace.
That's the problem. That's the problem with Pakistan. From 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, Colonel Saab.
That was a false flag operation.
Oh, 26/11 was a false flag. Pathankot, Udhampur
was killed by this all plot of 26/11 was set up to eliminate Kharkare. And that was done because he was exposing the dirty face of Hindutva.
You know, Colonel Shafkat Saeed, that's the problem with Pakistan. That is the problem with Pakistan, and that is why you're such an international pariah state. You're such an untouchable. Nobody wants to have a relationship with you. Even China is so wary.
General Bakshi wants to come in also now.
Let's talk of India, Pakistan.
General Bakshi, respond. General Bakshi wants to come in.
Colonel Shafkat Saeed, I thought you are a professional officer. Please don't insult our intelligence by coming up with such inane and idiotic explanations. You are telling us that we Indians killed 19 of our own people just to frame you. Give us a break, Colonel. Give us a break, give the world a break. We've heard enough of this pack of lies. What we are trying to tell you, please let me finish, Colonel. Colonel, please let me finish. Don't get so nervous. Don't get so nervous, Colonel Saeed. Let me finish. Listen to me. I'm telling you, Colonel. No. I don't. Okay. Good. We know you are not nervous. Colonel Saeed, please listen to me very carefully as one soldier to another. What we are trying to tell you is that the days that you think or you thought you could cross the LC, the IB at will, strike wherever, whenever you wanted, are history. Are over. We are putting you on notice that you will have to pay a price. You shed Indian blood. It will not come free, Colonel. It will not come free, Colonel. And the countdown has begun. Since we lost our boys, you have lost a certain number of people. Okay? You are aware of that. You are aware of what you have lost. This is the count just begin. We'll take you as far up the escalation ladder as you want. We'll take you till you cry, uncle.
You have cried uncle with 93,000 prisoners of war, Colonel Shafkat Saeed.
This whole hysteria, this warmongering will never melt down Pakistan resolve to stand by Kashmir.
Don't worry, India does not need to melt down Pakistan. Your own terrorists will melt you down.
We have no terrorists in Pakistan. We Pakistanis are terrorists for you.
Well, that's actually the kind of country that we're dealing with. Yeah, I just want to take our viewers' attention to the new issue of India Today magazine. If I could just cut our camera to this cover. And if all of our guests, I don't know if they can see it, but this is the very provocative cover of the new issue of India Today. The last issue that we had actually got the India Today website banned in Pakistan. And this is a new one. It's a dog leash. And in the center of the dog leash is the text, "How to Tame Pakistan." Colonel Shafkat, that is the sentiment in this country. We see Pakistan as a nuisance. You send your people into this country to spill Indian blood. You send You send terrorists into this country to try and break our sovereignty and to, kill innocent people or kill soldiers who are unarmed and sleeping. This is the sentiment. We don't see you as a threat. We had a young IFS officer respond to your Prime Minister at the United Nations. We don't give you that much importance. We don't care so much about Pakistan. We have to deal with you because we care about Indian blood. That is what this is about. The big question we are asking you today is, we are actually asking you with a great sense of amusement, a great sense of amusement in the Indian sentiment today when we ask you, why are you so scared? Why are you so nervous? Why are you running scared, blocking your highways and inconveniencing your own poor citizens? Your tired and hungry citizens are being inconvenienced by airspace being closed, by highways being blocked off, by leaves being cancelled. At least allow your citizens to live. I don't think your citizens want war either.
I wish you see those counts on Twitter, poll counts on Twitter, in which you would compare the readiness of Indians and Pakistanis for any escalation.
Forget about readiness. Who cares about readiness? I mean, in the readiness war, we beat you, by an exponential factor. That doesn't matter.
What do you mean by you beat us?
Sir, I'm not talking about a bean count as far as war is concerned. I think the principal question, GVL Narasimha, I want to bring you in on this. We're almost out of time. But there is so much speculation, there is so much chest beating that's happening in Pakistan over what they're expecting. Are they itching for a war? Are they itching for conflict? Whatever it is. Here in India, we are a peace-loving nation. We are not itching for a fight. We actually love our soldiers. We don't want to put them into a war-like situation unless it is absolutely necessary and we are aggressed upon. Unlike Pakistan, who doesn't care about the lives of their soldiers and use them like cannon fodder, we care about our armed forces. But Pakistan, since it is, wanting to know so much what India thinks, GVL Narasimha Rao, could you let us know a little bit about what the government is thinking right now? A time and place of our choosing is the foundational principle of any reaction. Is that not right, Mr. Narasimha Rao?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the statement that came from DGMO was a considered statement. This after deliberations at the highest level in the government, but this is our armed forces have a complete free hand to deal with the situation as it demands at the borders, and to be merciless if any attempts are made to intrude into our territory or to cause any hurt to our people, our forces. I think they have a free hand to deal with the situation as is deemed best by them. And as far as the attack on Uri is concerned, we certainly will want to bring all the perpetrators of this to justice, but it will be done in a strategic manner, and it's entirely for our professional forces to really to come up with that plan. And if that makes Pakistan nervous, if that really makes them jittery, so be it. Let Pakistan know that any further hurt to India does not come cheap. And it will come at a huge cost.
Gaurav, you have a question for Colonel Shafkat. Go ahead.
Colonel Shafkat, is the Pakistan army nervous because there is a major power struggle within Pakistan? General Rahil Sharif, his tenure is ending. He wants to stay on as the army chief. Nawaz Sharif is trying to cling on to power in Pakistan. There is a very nervous meshing in, jockeying for power. Is that why this hate for India, sending in terrorists into India, creating panic with India so that the army remains powerful?
I think you did not hear Mr. Nawaz Sharif yesterday. He said very clearly, we want peace with India. Right? He is not
by supporting in terrorists in India. I mean, we heard Nawaz Sharif very clearly, and he emerged as a leader of a country that sponsors terrorism. So let's move on from that point. Nothing but sheer contempt for Nawaz Sharif and Pakistan for voices like this. But tell me about the internal power struggle, sir.
There is no power struggle in Pakistan. Everything is settled and in its place. And you want me to believe that 4 men can get into a battalion and go on killing 17 people and destroying the whole fuel dump before they get killed? I don't believe it.
Colonel Shafkat, one very small final question, sir. Because this is...
I told you that your scriptwriter is pathetic.
Colonel Shafkat, final question. We're almost out of time. Take my final question. After 26/11, after Udhampur, after Pathankot, and as Gaurav just mentioned, after half a dozen other terror attacks that your nationals have done, bleeding Indian blood and coming into our country and creating havoc over here. After that, you guys didn't. After all those terror attacks, you guys didn't become war ready overnight. Creating hysteria in your country. What has suddenly changed about Uri? Why are you suddenly so nervous? You're more nervous now than you were after 26/11.
We are not nervous. We have very unreliable, untrustworthy neighbor who is much bigger.
You mean a powerful neighbor who can wipe you off the face of the earth? That's a given in terms of a nuclear scenario. Forget that. I'm talking about what is different about this attack. Why the war readiness this time? Why not after Pathankot? Then also it was your Pakistani people.
Because at that time, after that false flag operation, you did not go on to this level of aggression.
So you're
because you
admitting it.
thought India will not respond, and this time, because the entire country has risen, against
So it's a
you,
recognition.
and that is why you're flapping like headless chicken.
Okay.
Pakistan is flapping like headless chicken, sir.
I don't think we're going to get any real answers from Pakistan, on the questions we ask. We sometimes live in hope that we can get a perspective from Pakistan, but the level of rhetoric in that country, the level of propaganda that's steep in that country, and most people, especially military veterans like Colonel Shafkat, who is our esteemed guest this evening, but sir, you haven't taken any of our questions, to be very respectful and honest, so we're going to have to leave it there. Time and place of our choosing. That's something we're going to have to leave it to. And as General Bakshi said, try it. Just try it one more time and see what happens. I'm going to leave it on that note. Colonel Shafkat, General Bakshi, GVL Narasimha Rao, and of course Gaurav Sawant. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on this discussion this evening. Well, a clear Pakistan Army role has of course emerged in the deadly Uri strike. The investigation agency, the NIA, has revealed that terrorists were highly trained and used high-end satellite phones to communicate. The procurement of these devices, as you know, is impossible without the direct role of Pakistan's ISI and the army. Watch this report. This is not just kite flying. This is some real data.
Pakistan's digital warfare exposed. Rogue Pakistan Army's plot to derail the investigations in Uri now out in the open. NIA investigations in the Uri terror attack reveal that terrorists were highly trained. They used sophisticated communication devices which cannot be procured without the direct role of the Pakistan Army. In a bid to derail the probe, terrorists deleted GPS logs, used digital codes to evade location, ensured they do not make the same mistakes that were made during the Pathankot terror attack. The NIA is now banking on 2 radio wireless sets recovered from the encounter site.
The 2 radio sets recovered from the Uri attack site could have the key for the investigators in this case. According to sources, one of the radio sets is damaged, but both of them have still been sent to NTRO in Delhi. The agency will try and retrieve whatever data they can find from these sets.
Initial investigations have already indicated that the terrorists crossed the line of control days before the attack. Food packets, medicines, a mobile phone, maps and matrix sheets with Pakistan markings have already nailed Pakistan's role in the initial investigations. Similar sets of recoveries have been made from the Uri terrorists as Lashkar-e-Taiba operative Bahadur Ali. The NIA is now all set to question Ali again, who was arrested in July. As the probe widens, a formal collaboration is now emerging between Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists. Their sinister plot led by Pakistan's notorious ISI to bleed India. With Shujaul Haq in Srinagar, Bureau Report, India Today.
That's it on News Today. Thanks so much for watching. We're leaving you now with our image of the day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today met the heroes who shone at the Rio Paralympics. The 19-member Indian contingent returned home with 2 gold medals, 1 silver and 1 bronze. Those who did India proud are Mariappan Tangavel, Varun Bhati, Deepa Malik and Devendra Jhajjar.